Hi, I need to replace the stator on my 1984 Harley Davidson XLH. How do I know? Well, one, the battery won't charge. How do I know it's the stator? One of the simplest ways, unplug, well, I've got the 2-pin, unplug it, that, put your multimeter on ohms, put your black wire to a good earth on the bike, and then put your red probe into one of the holes, and you can see it's going to ground. It shouldn't. Both sides is going to ground. So the coil inside the stator has been compromised somewhere and it's going to ground, and it's not putting out the right alternating current or any current to the regulator. There's loads of videos out there to show you how to check the regulator. That's quite simple as well. Well, here we go then. Right, let's get this stator off. So what I'm going to do now, drain the oil, loosen the primary chain tensioner, and I'm going to slacken off my cable because I want it to take it out from the lever, because I want to take this whole cover away. I don't want it hanging by that cable, so that's going to come off, and obviously this has to come off as well, and all those nuts and bolts. Right, get on with it. To get the primary finally off, once you've done all your bolts, you need to take this nut off, which is on the adjuster, and then the cover will pull off. Take note of the spring for the cam chain tensioner, hooks at the front, little clip at the back, and that one goes actually on the cover. So yeah, you'll have to watch that one when you're putting it back. So I want to take the clutch basket off the Sportster, but I don't want to take off the clutch out, all the plates and everything else. So in order to do that, you have a circlip here which takes away this adjuster, and then inside on the shaft you have another circlip, and that comes off, and then that makes this whole thing loose. And then what you need to do is undo this 1.25 inch left hand thread, so normal thread, and undo that. You'll need an impact driver to do that because that's torqued down to a ridiculous amount, and then you can just pull the whole thing off. So what I've done, I've taken the sprocket right off. So pull this a little bit, then pull this out, then pull that, then the chain will come off with the sprocket. Now I can pull this off nice and evenly so it's not under load, and that way I'm not cross threading or damaging any of those splines. So straight away I can see what the problem is with the stator. You can see that it's burnt out here, so it's obviously overheated or something's gone wrong, and yeah, definitely gone. Well, at least I'm barking up the right tree anyway. So when I took the stator off, I found that there was a hole, obviously, in the binding here. But can you see why? Somebody previously did a job on the bike, snapped a bolt somewhere or left a spare one in there and thought, oh, I can't find it, and they left it in there, and so it's absolutely mullered the stator. actually split the bindings. Yeah, so there's no continuity there at all. Thankfully it hasn't damaged the magneto that runs around the stator, so that's something, because they're seriously expensive and very hard to find second hand. So that was a problem. So while I've got the primary cover off, taking the clutch out, looking at the stator, I might as well have a look at my starter motor. It's been a bit sluggish lately, so I want to see what the solenoid plunger's like and the contacts, because I think it's probably something to do with that. It's a 40-year-old bike and I don't know when the last time this was opened, so worth it while you've got all this trouble, because you can only unbolt it from inside the primary cover, so while you got it off, why not? Yeah, as I had suspected, the solenoid plunger is pretty bad. I don't know if you can see in there. It's see if I can focus it. It's pretty grim, to be fair. You can see an indentation here. It's quite a big ridge, and same on the other side where the plunger goes down when it gets fired up. And if I show you the other side of this, wow, look at that. So what happens, let me just focus. So what happens is, when this goes in and out and it arcs across, and then it basically spot welding, and it makes all these marks, and now it struggles to find a good contact because it's so badly worn. The ridges really are very deep. I'm not even going to clean this up and repair it. I'm just going to replace those parts. You can get them on Amazon. When I find the number, I'll put a link. And obviously I will dismantle the rest of it, because it looks really dry, doesn't it? So that would account for the very slow start, and sometimes when you're just a few volts low, it won't turn over even though you know you've got a really good battery. So yeah, time for this to go. So the solenoid kit came today, and you can see, look at the ridge in that one. So no wonder it was struggling to plunge down and make the connection. The other side was the same. So yeah, while in the primary cover, just check, have a look at your starter motor. This kit was like £26. This is the kit that came, yeah, from China. Says Mid-America, but yeah. And on the packet, it says the OEM number there. But if you put that in Google search, something like that, the Amazon one will come up, or you can put that number actually in Amazon and you will get your part. So I've just rebuilt this solenoid on here. The kit was very useful, but before I fit it, it would be a shame to fit it and then find out I've either done it wrong or something didn't work. So got spare battery, positive on there, negative on there, just to earth it out, and then this little crocodile clip here, and then I'm going to use this one to touch on there, and it should spin out. Right, now I can fit it. Because there was so much debris in the primary casing from that bolt that shredded the stator, I had to strip down the clutch. Something what I wasn't going to do, but had to do it. So I had to make a few tools. So this is just 3-inch rainwater pipe, cut off from an elbow because it's got this nice thicker ridge on it. That's 30 mils. And then had to make a tool that went over there, because to do this on the bench without the chain on to hold it steady was difficult. So what I did, I made this tool that will fit over there, so that way I'm not trying to hold the nut and the screwdriver bit there. And to be honest, I'm not a big fan of holding something so tight on such a small piece. And then because of that, I can now just put this on. If I don't cross thread it, I can just put this on, stop it from turning with this, and now I've got the luxury of using a socket set to be able to turn this 3/4 nut down to be able to push down on the diaphragm so I can get my spring clip back in. So might be a tip for you guys, who knows. So new stator's in and all plugged in. You don't need me to show you the rest of the video of putting all the other stuff back, because it's just the reverse of how you take it out. But there's a couple of lessons that I've learnt while doing this job, which I thought might be worth just mentioning, passing on. Is first of all your primary case gasket. I spent £32 for this one, or I could have spent £11 for a cheap one. The difference between this and the cheap one is quite significant, because this one is 0.30 thickness and the cheap ones are 0.8 difference. So when you think of a piece of wet and dry or emery paper, whichever you call it in your country, this is so thin, where the gasket certainly is another level of thickness, and it's got a silicone bead all the way round. I think personally it was worth the extra. In this particular packet there is 2 O-rings, one for the filler inspection, one for the clutch cable. There's a washer, copper washer for the cable. There's an oil seal for the shaft, for your gear shaft. There's obviously the gasket. There's this gasket for the boss stud, and there's a black fibre washer, which then goes over your foot peg pedal on the inside. It just makes that little seal. So for me, I think that was well worth it. And as you can see, you can get that on hog parts. The other thing that I found was, as you saw at the beginning of the video, I'll put that back so you can see more clearly, that I had this broken piece of bolt. It happens to be the same bolt that comes out of the old stator, and the metal shards that I found when put together made up a Stanley blade, well, what was left of it, because it had this chaffered edge on it, the sharp edge. I don't think someone had actually dropped that in. I think what had happened is when they took the old clutch basket off with the magnets in the back, they've put it down either on their workbench, up on a bench like this, possibly put it on the floor, but because the magnets are so strong, it's picked it up off the floor or wherever they've put it. They haven't checked it before they've put it back on and just fitted it back on. And because of that, and just me being me, as soon as I took the chain off, the primary chain off, I immediately put it in a polythene bag. That way it can't pick up any contaminants or something that will do it any harm, and it's only going to come out of here when it goes back in. As soon as I got the clutch basket out and the magneto, it went straight into a polythene bag. I do try and keep my benches as clean as possible, but it's a workshop, you know. We use angle grinders, we weld, we cut stuff, there's metal everywhere. So if anything was to get stuck on this, then it will be on the bag and not inside. Plus you would check anyway before you put it in. And whenever I needed to work on this, I worked on it on the plastic bag. It was never actually on a worktop's work surface. So there were just a few things I thought might be worth passing on, especially if you're, you know, having to work on your bike on the street. You know, if you haven't got a garage, you've got to do it outside your house. There's lots of dirt and stuff. As soon as it comes off the bike, put it in a bag, keep it as clean as you can, and try and mitigate the problem that I had with that bolt smashing up my stator. So I hope this video has helped. You know, if you have a comment or if you need to ask a question, then drop it in there. If I can answer it, I will. So I hope this helped someone else out. Thanks for watching.